My name is Max Yortsberg. I am the Conservation Director with Park County Environmental Council. Today we're going to be flying over the county looking at areas where we're seeing some rapid change, influx and growth and development. We're also celebrating the passage of the City of Livingston's brand new growth policy, which is going to be very helpful for the community in our efforts to guide the future of this area. So right now we're just flying right over the Yellowstone River, which is probably one of the greatest natural resource assets that we have, in addition to the vast public lands and wilderness areas that approximately right next to Livingston. We often have wildlife just walking right into town. We have a resident deer population in town, but we have moose. We get black bears in the fall sometimes. Livingston was built by the railroad, so you can see the rail yards on the left as well. It was locomotive shops to service the Northern Pacific Railroad. It's the last stop before any mountain passes that the railroad would have to climb to get to the west coast. We've got a small, vibrant downtown. The community expressed wishes within the growth policy was to promote infill development within the city limits, and to discourage sprawl and subdivisions, and to guide that so that we could have increased accessibility, decreased footprint.
Is there an affordable housing project? Has there been, or is that a new kind of deal?
There has been some. They're in short supply. Housing prices have skyrocketed in the last year, just like about everywhere else. The inventory is almost non-existent. Coming up here on our left is Deep Creek, north and south forks of Deep Creek. And on the right-hand side is Armstrong and Depew Spring Creek, which is a fly fishing mecca in this area. And as you can see, some of these subdivisions on the left here in Pine Creek were some of the earlier subdivisions in the valley. It's been filling in. In September of 2012, there was some construction work happening down near the river, right below us. A spark from an excavator caught the grass on fire. There was a steady 35, 40 mile an hour wind, and within 12 hours, 8,000 acres had burned, sweeping up behind us up the flanks of Mount Delano. But it swept through the community of Pine Creek, and many houses were burned. So wildfire is definitely always on the forefront of people's minds. And yeah, we definitely encourage the preservation of this open space and the working agricultural lands. Zoning is being discussed, but conservation easements, part of our planning efforts to encourage the preservation of open space. Some of this land is under a conservation easement. On the right, the Paradise Ranch that we're flying over is under conservation easement. And there are a lot of lots that have been subdivided, over 4,000 in Park County, that have the potential for development, but that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, we've flown over quite a few new houses that are being built, and there's been a 50% increase in septic permits in the county over the past 5 years, which is basically the best way they know to keep track of growth, because they don't regulate growth at all.
Because of Park County's geographic placement being the northern gateway to Yellowstone National Park, we have a population in the county of roughly in the 20,000s, but we have nearly 1 million visitors each year traveling to the park, and all of the emergency services need to respond to those calls as well as the local calls. And now we're getting into a very important part of the valley with the southern end, with its ecological and geographic connection to Yellowstone National Park. The Dome Mountain Ranch is straight in front of us. That's the ranch that's currently on the market for an easy $45 million. I think it's about 5,000 acres. The state has a wildlife management area just to the east of the ranch boundary. The Absaroka Beartooth Wilderness is right up top of these hills. And it's a very important wildlife connector for the Yellowstone wildlife, the northern elk herds. bears here as the valley narrows down, and you've got the Gallatin National Forest to the west, Yellowstone Park to the south, and the Absaroka Beartooth Wilderness to the east. And so this area sees a lot of wildlife movement, so there's a lot of concern about development in this area impacting the ability for wildlife to migrate. You can see Daly Lake, that's part of the state ground that's tied to the wildlife management area. So Ramthorn Peak is straight to the front. Yeah, so this is the Gallatin Range, Immigrant Peak on the right. That's where we had part of our major mine campaign the last few years. There's a proposed gold mine. It's still there, but we were able to have the federal government withdraw the mineral rights to the public land surrounding the mining district in Immigrant.
Oh, that's
so
huge.
if there were to be any mining activity, it'd be curtailed greatly in size.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and there still is quite a large amount of open space here, which is also one of the reasons why it's so attractive to people coming here. Is it still has that open western character, and that's definitely one of our main efforts and goals is to preserve that character, to allow for some of the growth and development, for allow people to live here, but not necessarily willy-nilly. The importance of wildlife, I mean, even the Crow Indians referred to the Yellowstone River as the Elk River. It's always been a very important area for wildlife habitat. It still is. People come here to fish the river, to go hunting in the fall. The river has seen a tremendous increase in use as well. And in front of us is Sheep Mountain, which was called the Hide Scraper by the Crow Indians. And the Shields River, which runs to the north half of Park County. The Shields Valley is often overlooked, doesn't get as much attention as the Paradise Valley. The corridor of the Crazy Mountains to the north could be a potential area for the Yellowstone grizzlies to migrate and link up with the Northern Continental Divide ecosystem populations. And the Shields has, it's growing and developing too, not quite as great a rate as Paradise Valley, but it's we shouldn't overlook the importance of the Shields Valley to Park County.
Thank you to Bruce and EcoFlight for taking the time to fly us over the Paradise Valley in Park County. And if you're interested in more of the projects that we're working on in this area, visit Park County Environmental Council's website, pcecmt.org.